Hello. Welcome to Thursday Night Live for Cricket for Australians. Thanks so much for joining me. It's so good to have you here. Let me know in the comments that you're here. Say hello, where you're from. It's Easter weekend in Australia and probably the rest of the world as well. Why should they miss out? What are you up to this weekend? Will you be doing any craft? Are you going away? Are you from Brisbane? You're out of lockdown now, right? So are you in a car and you're driving somewhere, hopefully not driving and watching me on YouTube? But yeah, I want to hear from you. If you're new to my channel, type new in the comments so I can get to meet you. And if you've got any questions, if you can, type it all out in caps because it'll just make it easier for me to find them. So thanks for joining me. Tonight is all about Mother's Day. I'm forever late with all of these crafts, so I thought I'm going to get in early and give you guys plenty of time. I hope that you make this card. I wholeheartedly apologize. If you watched me live on Sunday, I said I was going to share the file ahead of time and I didn't like my design. I went back and forth and I hadn't cut it out and I hadn't tried it, and you'll understand why when we go through the process. But yeah, I just wasn't happy with it. I ended up with exactly the same design that I envisaged, and I'm actually loving it. But that's why I didn't share it. So I do apologize. If you don't know who I am, my name's Paul, Scissors Paper Paul on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube. Make sure that you're following me on all those different channels. One of the reasons being that this file will now be available on my page on Facebook, Scissors Paper Paul. There's a pinned post at the very top, and I just copy in all of the projects that I work on these lives. So you can jump over there and you can obviously click that link in Design Space and you can create this for yourself. So let's have a jump in and have a look at some of the comments and see who's here. Lots of people here, lots of familiar names. Gail's here, cricketing all weekend. Love it. Hopefully you can join me on Sunday as well. I'll talk about that later. Judy's here from Hervey Bay. Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. That's amazing. I've never been to Hervey Bay. I got pretty close before, but it's on my bucket list. I'm definitely going to get there eventually. Suzette's here. Thanks for joining, Suzette. Erica's here as well. Morayfield. Yay, lots of people from Queensland. Awesome. Chris is here as always. Thanks, Chris. Great to see you guys here as well. Diane's asking, can you please do a lesson on how to design and make stencils? I sure can. Thank you. If you've got any other ideas as well, pop them in the comments, or you can shoot me a PM through Facebook and let me know what you'd like to see. And so that you don't miss out, make sure you like this video. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and that way you won't miss out on any of my content going forward. So, project Mother's Day card. Let's move that out of the way for a bit, and I'm just going to go to the overhead. So things that we're going to need tonight, actually I'll go to the split camera so you can see me as well. So a couple of things I just want to call out for making this project. It is a card, and when I fold cards, I like to use a bone folder. These are really cheap. You should be able to get them at Spotlight or any craft store. You don't have to pay a lot of money for them. You can, but you don't have to pay a lot of money. Just means you get a really nice crisp edge when you fold your card, and it just looks a little bit more professional. So that's what I use, a bone folder there. We've also got a quilling tool. So this is part of the cricket paper set that's available certainly at Spotlight. I'm sure it's available at other retailers as well. But we're doing rolled flowers tonight. And I think this is why I was a little bit anxious as well. I've never made paper flowers. Everyone knows that Nat from Nat's Crafty Life is the queen of paper flowers. She's got videos on her YouTube channel as well, and Inside Cricket for Australians. So if you want to know how to really do that, you can check with her. But hopefully I won't make a complete mess of it tonight. So I'm doing this for the very first time. So wish me luck. I know a lot of people do hacks for these as well, so if you've got a hack, share it in the comments. Let everyone know what you use instead of maybe an actual quilling tool. I did use my scoring stylus as well, so you can use this in your Explore or your Maker. If you've got the Maker though, and you've got this quick swap tools, of course you can also use the scoring wheel, and you've got the single and also the double. And of course with this quick swap, you just press a button on top and you can release that particular blade or tool, and then you can swap them out super easy. So you definitely need that. And the other thing that I've got here as well is just a little paintbrush. I stole this off my son, and that's just to get some dimension to your flower petals. So you can use anything. Use a pen, pencil. You could use one of these as well, whatever you've got on hand. No fancy trickery there. My glue, of course, always put into my little fine tip applicator. You can get these at Craft Online, Lincraft, your dollar store. They all call different things all around Australia. And I got mine from Amazon. Same one I've been using for about 4 or 5 years. The glue that goes inside it, as you know, I love my Scotch Tacky glue. I get this from overseas where my friend Jules goes back home to Canada. But of course, you can get it at Craft Online. And if you Google it, there'll be other places, but mostly online, unfortunately. Again, I always ask, if you find it in store, please let me know. I would love to be able to get this a lot more easily than I obviously the links I go to now to get it. But it is available, and I just cannot recommend this particular glue enough. Other than that, we also have our foam squares. We're going to get a little bit of dimension on here. You could go a bit crazy. I was planning to go a bit crazy, but I think I'm going to dial it back a little bit. But I've got my 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch squares. Again, these are from Spotlight. They're Papercraft. They're super cheap, but I just grab them when they're on sale. I've always got them on hand. Yep. As well as that, I've got my glue gun. So I've got my hot glue gun. Now, hot glue hates me, but this is a cordless one. I have charged it. Hopefully it actually works. It can get a little bit drippy sometimes. I've got some paper down. I've heard that if you sort of pull the trigger a little bit and pull the glue stick back, they drip less. But this is cordless. It's quite reasonably priced. There are more expensive ones. So again, if you've got one and you're really, really happy with it, you put it in the comments. As I say, I'm really happy with this, but it does, once it's warmed up and it's going, it does, dribble a little bit. So I've got that off to the side. The other thing that I'm doing tonight also is I'm using iron-on. So I've got my Easy Press. I've got my small Easy Press. You'll see it on camera when it comes to the time to use that, because I'm using beautiful, hopefully you'll see this a little bit clearer when we do the application, but I'm using foil iron-on as well on my cardstock. Now, people always ask me, why don't you use vinyl? And the reason I like iron-on is because I find it so easy to weed. As you know, I'm a terrible weeder. Vinyl hates me, and if I can avoid it, I will for my cards. And I find I just get that really, really beautiful detail. So that's going to go on our inside of our Mother's Day card. We've got all our cardstock pieces, which I'll talk about as well, but let's just jump in quickly and check the comments. Brenton's here from Country Vic. Welcome, Brenton. Linda's saying that the Cricut quilling tool makes it so easy to roll flowers. You're a paper crafter, you've got this. Thank you, Linda, for your vote of confidence. I thank you for believing in me. We'll find out. No, I've never made paper flowers before. And first time using the quilling tool today as well. So again, it's going well. Oh, Nat's Crafted Life's here. Hey, Nat. Thank you so much for joining. But as I say, Nat has got the most amazing tutorials on rolled flowers. I'm definitely not going to step on her toes and pretend I'm an expert in any regard. And Vicky's rearranging her craft room this weekend. Awesome. Excellent. Okay, so let's get back to the cardstock pieces. I've done all my cutting ahead of time because really I just didn't want to you just to watch me literally cutting out cardstock. So what I have done is I've cut my base. I'll just move these pieces over. So I've cut my base. I've scored it as well. So if I hold that up, see if I can... you can just see the score line there. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold on that score line. So just start to give it a little bit of a fold there. Square up all our corners, making sure it's going to be nice and perfectly aligned. So I'm just going to grab those and then rub down to that corner and that edge. And then I'm getting my handy dandy bone folder, and I'm just going to give that a nice press along the edge, and then you can see it's super pressed, really, really nice, beautiful, sharp edge. It's going to give you a really professional end result to your card. All right, so I'm going to move that back to the side. Then we have our layered designs. Now, for this template, I actually modified a design from Rob and Bob. If you don't know him or them as a design team, they have a lot of images in Cricut Design Space. They're really whimsical, really fun. I suggest that you have a search in Design Space and images. Follow them on Instagram as well. They just do really amazing stuff. So I took one of their images and I've kind of modified it in order to make this card. And we've got basically a coral layer, this green minty layer, a purple or pinky purple layer, and then the white one, which is going to go on top. And you can see that they kind of all layer together to reveal that final design that'll ultimately sit on our card. But what I thought I would do is I thought I would challenge myself to actually embellish this with paper flowers with more dimension. So included in the file it's called, I think, I'm going to murder this, but 3D anemone or something. I don't know. But anyway, it looks like a really beautiful flower. It cuts out with two sets of 5 petals, and I'm going to show you how I put this together with the 5th petal of the smaller piece. And it's really easy. It has these little basically circle pieces that it cuts out for you as well. It has little notches. So effectively you do exactly what I'm going to show you now that I did with the flowers, and then you just glue them on in those 5 little spots. Now you can use hot glue. I know hot glue is really, really popular with rolled flowers. I just used my paper glue, my normal Scotch tacky glue for mine, but I will use hot glue for the rolled flowers because it's just a bit more, that kind of needs to be probably a little bit more substantial. So we're going to complete that last piece and then we'll join those together. But also, oh, how cute are these? I'm going to show you these. Look at the detail. Now I did, full confession, with a lot of this, particularly with the details, I did cut it on intricate cardstock. You want a nice sticky mat. When you're taking this off, this white piece, be very, very careful because it's quite fine and detailed. It can tear. So just be very, very gentle with it. But look at the detail. Now, I'd lost some of these little stamens or whatever they're called, but you can't really tell. Look how tiny that cut is. Isn't that amazing? All of this cardstock is AC cardstock from Spotlight. It's the one that I use 99.9% of the time. But look how detailed that is. So we've got 2 of those, one slightly smaller than the other, and they're going to go in the middle. And then we've got this other little piece as well, which I'm not sure that I'm going to use, but effectively this kind of glues together in a ring, and then these parts kind of fold over and it forms like a little bud right in the middle of the flower. So not sure I'm in love with that. I'm thinking I'm liking it with just these other yellow pieces, but we'll have a little look anyway. And then lastly, we'll be completing, I haven't glued this one together, but effectively we've got the rose, the rolled rose file from Design Space, and this is what it looks like before you roll it up. So we'll roll that up and then we're going to glue that together, and then they are going to put a big one up on here, and then the 2 purple ones will go sort of around the middle there. So lots of dimension. As I say, I felt like I was getting a little bit over the top, but I'm happy with it now. I'm happy with my colors. I think Mum's going to really, really love it. And the sentiment as well, I should show you now. The sentiment you can see here, make sure you can see it. A mother is like a flower. Each one is beautiful and unique. And I just thought that went really, really well with the floral elements in my card. So let me know if you've got any questions, and then we'll get started. Yes, so tiny. I think that was what was really worrying me as well. I was a bit worried that I'd gone too small, but anyway, it did go together, and if I can do it, you definitely can. All right, so what I did with all of the petals, exactly the same thing. Now, as you know, I love to get my textured side up. That'll be really probably hard to see, but typically cardstock, AC cardstock, has a smooth side and a textured side, and I like to see that texture. So all I did was take my paintbrush and I just curled it like that on both sides, and then I put the toothbrush paintbrush down the middle, and I just gave it a little bit of a squeeze there, so you can kind of see the dimension that it's taking there. It has 2 tiny little a little slit here, and we're going to glue one side, and effectively we're going to fold it over and then glue that other side, and then what will happen is it'll just give it that little that shape. So you can see how it sort of starts to curve up like that. So that's what we're going to do now. We'll take a lid off our glue, teeny tiny bit of glue, don't need much. You can see that, just a little blob, fold it over and hold it, let it dry. So I found I could be quite rough with these. Once you've constructed as well and it's nice and dry, then you can start playing around with the shapes of the leaves. If you're a stamper, you might want to ink these as well. I think that would be really pretty. But you can see now that they've crossed over, and this is now the shape that it's looking like. So it's popping all up, and then we're going to pop it into this little missing part here. So let's do that. Again, teeny tiny bit of glue. Make sure it's in the right spot. I'm just going to put the lid on my glue just so it doesn't go dry on me. And then we'll stick that down and just hold it with our finger. Very technical. And then we're going to have this bottom layer, which I kind of didn't do a perfect job with those petals, but you know what? What flower in nature is perfect, right? And that's the joy of homemade. It's not something you can get in a shop. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer, and I'm just going to kind of alternate so that the top petals go in between the bottom petals. So I'm just going to try and work out which way I like it so that it looks the nicest. I think I like it like that. So I'm just going to move that one out of the way. Put a big glob of glue in here. Make sure this one sticks. Again, you can use hot glue. We'll pop that on and then stick it down with my finger. It doesn't matter if it doesn't look too full up right now, because we're going to cover the middle with our little yellow stamen pieces. So that's nice and dry. Okay, so you can see now it's a much more full and dimensional flower with those petals. Again, you can rearrange those, make them, you know, super unique and whatever you like. And now that I'm happy with those, I'm going to take my bit more glue and pop it in here, just little dots. Take my little pick-me-up stick. Again, lots of people ask me about this. This is from Craft Online. It's a silhouette pick-me-up stick. Take my larger one. I'm just going to sort of jam that down in there. And I'm going to, this is really, really fun to use to pick up really small pieces, particularly cardstock when you're doing paper crafts. And it's just got a bit of blue tack on the bottom there. So I know that Erica, I think she fashioned one out of an old pen with a bit of blue tack. So you can do that as well. So again, a little blob of glue in here. And this time I'm going to try and alternate my stamens as well, so that they really do kind of fill up that space. So put that in between, and it goes. And I think I am really liking that. I don't think I'll use that middle piece. Okay. And there's our little flower. So that's going to go on the very top of our card. So I'm just going to pop that out to the side while that dries properly. And just again with this, you can see that it has these tiny little parts which would fold over. Okay, I'll just show you. You can see these little bottom pieces that would fold over like that. What you would also do, and I'll glue this together and we'll see what we think. What you would also do is just curve these pieces inward as well. Which is quite difficult with, okay, but curve those inwards. And then you would glue that together, and then that would be like a little bud in the middle, but I don't think I'm loving that, so I'm actually going to leave that piece off. All right, so let's do our sentiment, and then we'll finish the construction of our card. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into to Google, and I'm just going to go to the heat guide. So if you Google Cricut Heat Guide, you'll be able to select the type of EasyPress that you're using. In this case, it's the EasyPress 2. We're going to select the material, which is, or the heat transfer material, which is foil iron-on, and we're going on to cardstock. Now, I always check these settings because they may change, all right? This is always up to date. You can change it into Celsius as well if you prefer to craft in Celsius, but it's saying 270 degrees, 30 seconds, and then it gives you all the instructions as here as well. So preheat your cardstock for 5 seconds, and then all the application instructions there. So I think we've got this. We can go back to our split screen. Apologise if it's getting a little bit dark. The daylight savings will be coming to an end very soon, and I can't rely on sunlight anymore. So I've got a light here, but I probably need to bump it up now that it's getting a little bit dark. But that's okay. And I realised I've got to weed a piece inside of my A. So let me just grab that out. All right, and then I'm going to use the lines on my mat, my cutting mat, to just kind of center this. And I'm going to pop my sentiment right here in the middle, hopefully nice and straight. Actually, we should do what the instructions say and warm up our material first. So I'm going to pop this on for 5 seconds. And that's also going to wick away any moisture that may be in the cardstock as well that might impact the transfer of the iron-on. And I use iron-on a lot. So if you saw my Harry Potter cake topper, if you saw my Harry Potter cake topper, I use gold iron-on there as well for Harry. I really, really like it. So over we go, easy press on. Okay, just careful not to burn myself. Press the C and let it count down. Now this may warp the cardstock a little bit because we're heating it. If that was the case, normally what I do is I do this application and then I put it onto something heavy and it'll just flatten out. So you don't need to worry about that. It definitely will come right for you. So Superkit Easy Press, I know Spotlight have had these on sale, I think for about $160. If you can find one, grab it. They're so handy. I could have used my Easy Press Mini as well, but I just thought it was a bigger area to go over and I just didn't want to I wanted to make sure I got that full application. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this aside to cool down so we can then take off the liner, and I'll bring back my cardstock pieces. I'll turn off Easy Press. So you can actually see here it is buckling a little bit, so I would normally flatten that before I did the full application, but that's okay. Not to worry. So the next thing that we're going to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these two pieces together, and then I'm going to layer up these other layers. So this is going to be layered up, I think on top of the white cardstock. This will be layered up on top of there, and then that will be layered up on top of the green. So the first thing I want to do is I just want to glue these together. Now this underlayer is slightly smaller, but you can just line up these flowers here, and that will enable you to perfectly align with both layers. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, because this is smaller, I'm just going to do a few blobs of glue around this piece. Okay, so I know that I'm not going to go over when I glue, because I don't want to put glue all over the purple piece, because some of the purple is going to be revealed through the white. And now what I can do is I can just come through here and just do dots of glue, and I'll make sure that this is adhered down to the purple. Okay, so just put it where you think it might come unstuck or lift. And again, just little tiny dabs of glue, you'll be absolutely fine. I got your back. And I think we are almost done. Happy with that. Yep, I'm happy with that. So now I'll flip this piece over and we'll align it with our purple piece. Now the liquid glue is great because you do have some time to move it around, make all the adjustments you need, and then we can press down. Okay, and that's our first layer all done. Go to the back, press it down from the back as well. Make sure it's nice and adhered. Excellent. And now we'll do the layering. So first things first, we're going to put our foam squares. Again, this time we'll put them on the back. Actually, I think I've got those around the wrong way. Let me just make sure. No, they are around the right way. So this is definitely the correct order. So just making sure you're getting them obviously in the correct order. But what I'm going to do is, because whatever is cut out from this layer is obviously going to show through to the bottom. So I'm going to put the foam squares on here, and that way they're definitely not going to be revealed on the other side. So off we go. Wiggle room. Love a bit of wiggle room. And we just want to make sure that this is stable and it's not going to collapse. So we're popping those on, and then we'll just remove them. It's quite warm in Melbourne today. It's about 29 degrees now. I did have the aircon on, so I apologise if I'm a bit shiny. But I had to turn the air conditioning off because it was too noisy. So now just being really careful to layer these two pieces up, because of course, you know, we want to obviously be able to see everything correctly through the other side. What I tend to do is I just sort of, you can see that, is sometimes just get them together, hold them up using my fingers to kind of make sure that they're correctly aligned, and then I can piece them together. So you can see that we've got the little pops here, but also that other pieces are going all the way through to the other side. So that's exactly what we want. And now, just like we did with the other one, we're going to put our foam squares on here, just on the purple, because that's the same layer as the green. And then we'll pop that up as well. You know that I love to mention, you can put all of this together as is. You don't need to layer it up. But I love to basically get everything as far off that main base as possible. I don't know why, but I do. And yeah, it's personal taste. Obviously, this is would be difficult to mail. If you're going to stick it in the mail, you might want to make it flat. Or you're going to have to send it in a box, which I have done before. So box is definitely an option. Put a bit of bubble wrap around it so it doesn't get squished and when it's flopping around or whatever. But yeah. Okay, and now, again, being very careful. I'm just going to stick my fat head in camera and just lining up pieces. Yes, I'm happy with that. And then you can see it's really starting to take shape and it's getting some dimension. So when you start to look at it from different angles, it's just going to have a bit of variety, a bit of a nice feel to it. Now we'll take our main base, and you can see it has kind of warped. Again, flatten this out with something nice and heavy. It will totally flatten out, no worries at all. But let's remove our transfer sheet from the foil iron-on. Now again, just like any other iron-on application, if it hasn't adhered, you could totally hit it again with your easy press, no worries at all. But hopefully you can just see, I mean, how beautiful is that? Look at that gold, look at that gold, you know, application. And also it's dimensional, like you can feel the dimension. It just screams quality to me, really, really luxe. So that is our inside of our card. That we will put this last piece, which I'm just trying to think, I think we've probably gone high enough with our dimension. So I think this time I'm just going to go straight flat onto the card. So I am going to use a bit of liquid glue. You could use tape runner for this. You know, I love Kikuyo from Officeworks, which is, I think they're discontinuing it. Again, I'm not using heaps of glue, just enough to hold it down. But Kikuyo is the one I use, and Boss Stick is the other one that I have used as well. But Kikuyo is my go-to. So there you go. All right, so again, I'm just going to hold this up just to make sure that I'm aligning it perfectly on those sides and the top and the bottom. And then I can just press down. I can also fold it over and just press. And then I know that it's nice and stuck. And that is the main part of our card with our beautiful iron-on sentiment. Okay, so let's do the flowers, the part that I'm absolutely terrified on. I'm now going to turn on I'm going to try and turn on my glue gun. I think it's working. And rolling the flowers. So again, I'm not the expert, but effectively you think that you want to roll from the center, but in fact that center piece is what we're going to glue the finished flower to. So you actually want to grab the end of the outside and slip that through your quilling tool or whatever you're using. Now, I think you're supposed to roll the other way. Natalie, you can say in the comments. But I'm going this way because I want that textured side on the outside of my flower. So that's personal preference. And then we're just rolling it nice and tight. Just keep it nice and firm, nice and close together, because we're going to loosen it when we're finished. This stage, we just want to get that shape rolled around. Just keep going all the way till the very end. And then we can pop off our top and you can let it go. Okay, and you can see there we've got our little top piece here, which when the flower opens, that is effectively going to be glued to the bottom. And again, once you've glued these as well, you can feather out the petals. You could ink this again if you're a stamper around the edges, all of that fun stuff. If you make this card, I'd love you to either share it on my Facebook page, share it in Cricut for Australians. If you post it on socials, tag me on Instagram, all of that fun stuff, because I'd love to see it if you actually do. So then now what we do is we just put a blob of hot glue. So now my glue is actually going crazy. Blob of hot glue on here, or a messy bit of glue. Get those threads out the way, and then we're just going to glue down the center of our flower. Mine looks an absolute hot mess. This is how we learn, right? I've never done these before. I'll definitely give it another try, but we just hold that down, and then that's now nicely firm and held in place. Super, super cute. They are actually very cute. I'm glad that I did this now. And likewise, we'll get the next one. Blob of glue. Okay, and I'll turn that off. And then we're going to stick down the center of our flower. And there we go. There's our second little rose. And I really like this particular image as well. In the file, there are some hidden images as well. So some of these came with like little leaves. I just hid them. So if you want to unhide them, you can cut those out as well. But we're at the end. We're literally about to do the final construction. So just jump into the comments and make sure I haven't missed anything. Thanks, Nat. She loves my flowers. I love the color too. As I say, it was just a hot mess, I felt, this project, but I think it's actually going to look really, really cute. Oh, thanks, Linda. Hot mess. There you go. I need that in a t-shirt. So Natalie rolls towards her. Okay, well, I think that's what I did. I did roll this way. And again, I wanted that texture on the outside. Milsey, well, the family is loving the iron-on. And yeah, Erica likes adding the height as well. So awesome. All right, so let's do the final construction. So here we go. Get our card in front of us. As I say, this flower is going to go here. These are going to go here. Hopefully you guys like that as well. Now I'm just going back to the old liquid glue that I know and love. So I'm just going to pop some glue on the back here and pop that down. Trying to work out where I like it. I'm just going to hold that down so it sticks a bit. Yep. And you've obviously got that cut out there as well as a bit of a guide, so you know exactly where to place it. My mum loves these types of colours as well, these kind of muted, sort of pastel-y, kind of brighter colours. So that's why I went with these colours. Hopefully she likes it. Again, a bit of liquid glue here. And popping on our card. A bit more on this one. And we are done ski. If you're watching a replay, you've got any questions as well, just pop them in the comments. If you think of anything else later as well, pop them in the comments and I'm happy to answer any and all of your questions. Hopefully I've answered most of them if we've gone through the project. And there we go. So there's our card. We've got the flower elements. We've got the dimension of layering up those layers as well of the card. And of course, our beautiful foil sentiment in the middle as well. So I hope you really like it. I hope that you make it. I really, really, really do. I would really love to see it on the socials. So please do make it. Now, this weekend, every Sunday, I go live, and at 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I know it's Easter, but I will go live anyway. I'm going to be turning a picture that my son drew into stickers. So we're going to go through the whole process. I'm going to show you how I photograph it, how I upload it. I'm going to add the offset. With offset, I'm going to add a little white outline, and we're going to print it out on my printer. We're going to do the whole thing. So it's a whole print thing cut all the way through. So hopefully you can join me for that. Also, next Thursday, so if you didn't know, every Thursday at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, which I know that's going to change soon, but it's always 7 p.m. Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane time. Melbourne, Sydney time. And Natalie or myself, we go live and we take you through projects like this based on your feedback and what you guys want to see. Of course, Natalie, if you didn't know, Natalie's well on the road to recovery after going through a huge sort of milestone in her life and some really big future changes. If you don't know about that, check out Nat's Crafty Life on Facebook, and she will share all of it with you. It's super, super exciting. We're so proud of you, Nat, and we wish you a speedy recovery. But for that reason, Nat won't be live next week. So you've got me again. Hope that's okay. I'm going to be live, and I'm actually going to be doing an Anzac project. In fact, I'll show you quickly. So there are heaps of Anzac images in Cricut Design Space now, and I can tell you for a fact that this was feedback that Natalie gave to Cricut last year when she was doing her fabulous Anzac Day project. Since then, they've added really, really cool projects. There's cutouts, there's drawings, there's all sorts of things. So I thought it would actually be really fun to use infusible ink on aluminium sheets. So I'm going to be doing an Anzac Day project to honour my great granddad, and it's going to be infusible ink on an aluminium sheet. So hopefully you'll tune in for that to next week as well. And I wish you all the best. Happy Easter, whatever you're doing, however you celebrate. Blessed be and all of that. I wish you nothing but the best. And I'm so glad that Queensland, Brisbane, you're out of lockdown. I'm glad Erica's going to make the card. Brenton hasn't had much luck with stickers. Please tune in. I know print and cut is a really tough one, and join me live. You can ask me anything, and it doesn't, on a Sunday, I don't even care what you ask me. It doesn't have to be about the project that we're doing. You can ask me about machines and blades and you name it. Happy to answer all of those questions. I'm glad that I'm making you cry, Nat, but we do love you. Awesome. Well, on that note, I'm going to go and wish you again all the very best, and I hope to see you on Sunday. All right, take care, everyone. See you next time. Bye.